So I am in a small and miniature swap, and this year it's an orphan block turned into a pincushion. But to save on postage, we all agreed to 90% make the pincushion and ship it flat, just ready to stuff. So I went through my orphan block box. I found this scrappy little red and white guy. He still needs to be trimmed up and all that fun stuff, but don't be too judgmental. This I don't think I starched at the time. I wasn't using any seam press, but it was just a fun day of sewing up teeny weeny little scraps. And then I have a multicolored one with a different star in there. And then I have this guy, which now that I'm looking at it, I wouldn't have the 2 greens and the 2 tans. I would actually, but I'm not going to unpick anything. This is not, specific. It's a scrappy, small orphan block swap. So I am going to go ahead and get this one ready for it. If in the end I don't like it, I can always pull one of the other ones back out. So I went through my scrap bins. I do have some muslin, and I do have scrap batting. So what I will end up doing is making a little miniature quilt sandwich. I'm going to take my muslin as a liner. I'm going to go ahead and layer the batting, layer the block. I'll probably come in here and do a little bit of stitch in the ditch just to hold the 3 pieces together. Or I might go ahead and just kind of do an X across here. Either one. When I get to the machine to play with it, I'll figure it out. I'll trim it up, and then I will go ahead. I'm going to back it in that. I thought that went fairly well. But what I will do with this muslin is I'm still going to make an insert pouch. I'll leave, because we're all leaving them open for stuffing. So I'm going to go ahead and make a miniature insert that'll go for the stuffing of the receiver's choice. So they can put their walnut shells, they can put their batting, they can put whatever they want to put inside of it. I do like to have the extra pillowcase inside the pillow. I don't really like to make pincushions where the stuffing is directly onto, it's touching the back or the front. But yeah, so this is just going to be a quick walkthrough of how I do this project. So it's just rough cutting. It's nothing specific at this early on, not at this stage. I'll go ahead and trim the muslin and the batting. I'll clean this side up just a hair. And then I'll just if you have a serger, you could totally do this on your serger. And then here, it'd be easier to do it this way. So this is that little insert. Go ahead and rough that. I'm actually going to cut it exactly to the size, knowing that I'm going to then end up sewing it. So I'll lose those. A little bit in the seam allowance. And that's it for that. I'll go ahead. That side's already closed, so I just need to close 2 more sides. Leave that open for stuffing. I don't really like leaving it raw, so I might, we'll figure it out. Probably press that in. We'll see in a second. And then remove the back. So, muslin, batting, block. I'll go ahead and quilt. I'll come back and trim that up. Alright, so I changed the quilting a little bit compared to what I had said just a second ago. I went ahead with just a neutral, followed it along. I didn't quilt in the blacks. That way they popped. There's the underside. So I will go ahead, let's clean this up a little. I'm going to be honest. I am not going to be 100% perfect on this. I don't think it's going to be a 5" either. Because it was made out of scraps, because it was little 1" ½ pieces at the time. It's not like square anywhere and everywhere, right? Because I'm trying to follow that. I'm trying to follow that. So we are just going to get as close as possible. It looks pretty good to me. I'm following that. I'm following that. Following that. Probably should have my spinner, but I don't. So that will be the front of my pincushion. I'm going to go ahead and take that little piece. I'm going to go ahead and press in, and then go ahead and clean that up a little bit. So here, when I go to press that 1/4 inch, or that final hand-stitched closure seam that the recipient will do, I do want it to be a nice, clean fold. So I don't know if you've ever seen these from Clover. I do not know exactly what they are made of, but it feels like felt, but it doesn't melt with the heat. It is gridded, which is fantastic. 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 1, well, or this way, so the total is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 inches. You just lay it on, test run, you know that seam is where you want it to be, which I want to scooch just a hair. And then you go ahead and you can press your 1/4 inch seam right onto the clover. And it gives you that line without you having to burn your fingers. I'm gonna come this way. If you do your bindings that have that 1/4 inch fold, that I could totally see this working for that as well. I am going to go ahead and flip it over so that it can cool down. Keep that edge. Maybe if you used flatter, this would be a time to do that. I do not. I have some, I'll be honest. Maybe I should try it. It is not one of my go-to pricing helpers. I do like a Starch, I do like a Magic, I do like a Best Press. The flatter it felt funny on my fingertips, but maybe I was using it incorrectly. Who knows? So I went ahead and top stitched that down. Yes, it's raw on the inside, but that's going to be okay because when they go to close it after stuffing, they're going to hand stitch there. So what I am going to do now is come in, pin an inch, come over here, pin an inch. So that is going to be my guide. I'm going to stitch, stitch, then I'm going to close, and I got lucky because that one's already there. So I'll stitch up. I did back stitch that beginning, back stitch that one to reinforce because we're going to be going in and out with our stuffing and our turning. Go ahead. So this is now the inside of my pincushion. This will remain as is. Go over here, press it nice and flat. Get my handy dandy little purple thing here. We do want to send it to our partners practically finished. Even though I know I showed earlier that they'll be stitching it closed there. It's obviously going to be stitched close there. I could have left this raw. I just didn't want them to receive it, start stuffing it, and all that get stringy on them. That just wouldn't be fun for me. Go ahead, press that nice and flat. And then, since I used the 4.5 on that, come in here. Now I'm going to go face to face. Same thing, I'm going to mark and you know what? I'm thinking on the side that I choose to leave open, maybe I'll go in with 1/8 of an inch stitch just to control those bias edges. So the edge that I'm going to leave open for the turning, I did do that stitch. Face to face. And then just like we did on that other one, I'm going to mark 1 inch for my starting and stopping. This one, since it's not on a fold, I do need to go all the way around. Okay, so here you go. Started with that back stitch, went all the way around at 1/4 of an inch and did a back stitch again. Go ahead and I'm going to gently pull through. I'm actually going to clip those little corners only because of the bulk. It does have the batting, it does have the pieced front, and it does have that layer of muslin. Let's cross our I'm almost wondering if I should have left that back larger so that I could have done that 1/4 inch tuck like I did on the inside one. But this also shouldn't receive as much tug and pull like the stuffer bag will. This one's going to be the pretty side. So, see already? That's why doing that little stitch was very helpful. Got a pucker in there. To kind of control some of that. I will come in here, iron that down, iron that down. I might even, just for the sake of simplicity for the swap or whatnot, send a couple inches of double-sided fusible steam stuff. I'll find it. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So, let's see. Get those pressed up. So, all pressed up. Went around. Pressed under that 1/4 inch and there. So, what I'm thinking is I might squeeze in a little bit of this. It's that double-sided adhesive. Once I peel it off, one side's sticky. You put it, technically you could close it here. You'd put it here, rip off the paper, heat it down, and it melts it together. But since we're not at that step yet, to avoid all this ruffly, stringy stuff when the recipient gets it, I can go ahead and cut a piece of this, stick it under here to seal that down, and I can stick a piece under here. And that's just, I don't want to say a friendly courtesy, because I don't know if someone's going to do that, you know, on the one that I receive. But I'm just thinking, in the end, when they get it and they go ahead and stuff it, they might not even use this. Again, this would just be something I'm choosing to send along. What if they use walnut shells? What if they use emery sand? What if, and it's a mess. Some, though, might just stuff it with polyfill, and technically you don't need the little pillow. We all just do things differently, and this is just the way my brain's thinking it through. So, that opening is 2 1/4, so I'll cut 2 pieces of 2 inches. I use my all-purpose scissors for this. I don't use my fabric scissors. And just like I was using the same pair of scissors when I was trimming the batting layers, you know, when I was coming here, rough cut everything. Those are my handy dandy blue ones. They cut everything except for fabric. Those are my fabric scissors, which don't get much use. They're heavy. I don't use them much. So we're gonna pop this back open just a little. Might have to pop it all the way. It's a really small square. So if I would have known I was going to choose to do this step, I would have done it earlier. But it's okay. I'm going to come all the way up to where that crease line was. I cut it 1/4 inch, you know, short because it was 2 1/4. The paper does peel off. Go ahead and fold that down. This one is a 1/4 inch tape stuff. They do make it in 1/8 of an inch, which I have at my local quilt shop. I just don't own it. Come up to that crease from that pressing. Force it to stay down. And so what I'll do before I flip it back out again, take these 2 pieces just like this to the iron. And I'm going to press just lightly right there. And I'm going to press right there just to heat activate. All done. I pressed them just gently, just enough to heat up that sticky stuff. Turned it back around, hit it with the iron again. And you see the difference? It's not that open, it's not poofing out, it's not going to string all over the place. It's just, that way when I send it, it is a nice clean edge. Poke out my corners a little bit more. So, quick and easy walkthrough of my small and miniature orphan block pincushion swap. And of course, if I were to be stuffing it, right, I stuff, put you put the filler bag into it, you stuff the bag up, you seal it shut. Someone can hand whip that. Someone can machine it. Someone can get this stuff, run it right here, heat press it. Their choice. Again, they don't even have to use the insert bag. It is a little oversized, but that's okay. It's all just going to get stuffed up in there. If the person doesn't like the size of it being larger, they can go ahead and flip it out. Tuck in that seam a little bit more, but to me it's okay. It's just gonna go like that. It's just gonna get filled, let's say with your walnut shells or your sand. Stick your funnel in there, seal it, tuck it into its corners, and then seal your pincushion. Fun. It is going to be anonymous. We're all sending to a host. The host is then separating and sending back. So for this swap, we send a self-addressed stamped envelope included. All right. What do you think about that? Do you make pincushions? Do you make miniature scrappy blocks out of your half square triangle cutoffs? Let me know in the comments.